What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Culture 316 podcast. I'm one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
Joined by your co-host, Mo. What is up, people?
Thank y'all so much for joining once again. You guys already know the drill. If you're listening via Apple or Spotify podcast, be sure to give us a 5 stars on the show. Be sure to subscribe to the show. If you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, Backlash is this Saturday, and we will be joining on Discord as well as X for the watch along. So if you wanted to join us and watch Backlash with me at least, head on over to @Culture316 on X, or you can just join us on Discord and we'll be watching.
I'll activate my X for that.
Yeah, you have to for France for breakfast and brunch because it's like 10 in the morning.
Oh, it's 10 in the morning
over here in LA. In New York, I think it's like 1 p.m. Eastern
I'm
Standard
still
Time.
at work, but I will attempt to sneak off. That's the best I could do.
As best you can do. So we got a lot to talk about in this show, so we're not even going to waste any time. So one of the things we were kind of talking about before we actually went on air was this Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley situation. Rhea Ripley is out with an injury. Liv Morgan is currently on her revenge tour in pursuit of the World Women's Championship that is on Raw. However, it seems as if they are pitching this kind of Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley love triangle. And I kind of wanted to see how you felt about it and like what was your stance on this particular storyline, if you will, or this direction, because, you know, it hasn't wrapped up yet. So,
right. I love the unpredictability with all of this because the day Rhea won, I know that she was basically kind of like a baby face, but she's in a heel faction.
mm-hmm.
All right. So when she won, technically she was like a heel. But it's very interesting because yeah, you could have still kept going that direction with her character, and you know, Judgment Day would have been just fine. But like Rhea's so over and beloved, it's safe to like push her into a babyface stage because the fans are generally going to be bothered by this. They're gonna be so bothered because we kind of like learn to like love this whole dynamic that there is with Rhea with Dom. But it's like interesting because it looked like she was the one dominating Dom, right? Like she got her way with him. Yeah. No, it looked like for the longest that she was getting her way with him and, you know, moving him around and telling him what to do. And now you got this thing with Liv now. And I like Liv in terms of like how she performs in the ring, and I love her look. But where she always used to kill me is her promos because it just never came off. Maybe it was natural for her because she does have a very naturally annoying voice. And she doesn't really know how to make her face and her voice and the delivery all come together in one. Yeah. But for some reason, her coming out as a heel, which I don't think we've seen her behave like a heel since she was in like Riot Squad or something like that. It's just so natural, but it goes more natural and makes so much sense, and it's the most perfect, most beautiful timing because she actually got history with Rhea.
Yeah.
Like she actually does. And I just watched her just turn it on with this like this diva like personality, like this edge that she has where it's just like this girl has been a thorn in my spine, and like I took it real personally that I thought we were going to be something, we were going to be a tag team together or something. You're supposed to be my best friend. You turned on me and I never let it go. I love the long-term booking, but what I love even more is I love me some mess. I love me a mess. I haven't seen an actual cheating storyline since, you could go ahead and say like Edge and Lita. I think they tried to try it with Naomi and Mandy, but and that was the closest we got to see where it was like more so an angle that affected the girls than the males. But this time, like they're going for it, and we're going for it where they're kind of coming out of this PG era. Like now they're swearing, now they're not afraid to like fully put on the sexual innuendos. And as we watched on the show, they were giving out an interview, but they made it very apparent to let us see through that small window that Liv and Dom were walking out with each other. Like now they're being bold about it.
Yeah.
And Liv is moving quick and she's not wasting no time. She's like, I'm going to take that belt from you. I'm going to take that man from you. The way you broke me down and left me to just like lay down, die, and suffer, I'm going to make sure I kick you down while you're at your weakest. I love it. I love it so much because, like I said, I did not have faith in Liv after her feud with Becky. But I
Mm.
feel like the same way Drew McIntyre just needed some form of an in, and he's taking it and he's running with it, and it just works. I love this for Liv. I think maybe she was meant to just be a heel all along to just kind of like get her to tap into that character, that personality that she does have. And I'm curious to know what they're going to do with it and what they're going to do with Dom, because you have the power to like make a very another very overwhelming baby face that is with Rhea with this, because again the audience is very much connected to Rhea. But
Hmm.
we all could get behind Liv, and it kind of does give me like the edge. Like I can see the promos being on edge, just like how we dealt with a heel Trish and a babyface Lita. Like we were supposed to hate Lita for cheating on Matt Hardy, and then the thing with Edge, and then they just kind of made her life shit with her being with Kane. But then we had Trish walk in, being the iconic bitch that she is, and every time she had a chance to give a dig at Lita, she did it, and it actually made us sympathize with her. So
Yeah.
what I'm seeing from like a distance is something like that, a dynamic like that, where you kind of have the potential to take Liv out of feeling like she's like a mid card and put her in the top spot, and kind of give us again that feeling that we had with Liv and Trish. No, not Liv,
Yeah.
Liv and Trish, Lita and Trish. I don't know, but I want to see how far they're going to go with this, and I want to see what kind of person they're going to make Dom out of it.
Mm.
What they're going to make his Y out of it. 'Cause, like the beef is between the girls, but it's like, all right, Dom, why did you do it? Why are you helping her? Were you sick and tired of Rhea like running the whole entire pack? Did you want to feel like you was actually Poppy this entire time?
Yeah.
You didn't like being ran over. There's so many layers to unpack with this and make it so juicy that it benefits everybody. And you could book this shit to like last a year if you wanted to, and push it to next Mania. If you know how to book it, if you know how to book it. But otherwise, it could still be just as juicy. I don't know how long is she gonna be out for?
I have no idea.
It
I
was her
honestly don't
shoulder
know.
blade
Yeah, it
that
was
was
like
messed up.
some like a shoulder, like her tricep or something. So that could be a
That's
6 month thing.
right. Okay, so that's good. That's actually good. That's 6 months of them messing around and Liv building herself up, and then you could take that and you could still push that into like being like part of next year's main event. But what do you think? Like, as far as the storyline, how would you book it? How is it affecting the others?
So I think Liv Morgan never lacked talent. I think she just lacked a motivating factor. I feel
Mm,
like there was no central motivating factor that Liv Morgan had that made her an interesting character until now. And
mm,
now her why is revenge. Why am I doing this? Because Rhea took years off of my career. Rhea betrayed me. I found a friend in her and a partner after I just lost two of my other best friends
mm,
in the Riot Squad. One was to another company, another one was to another faction in the Viking Raiders, right? And I
mhm,
feel like that's part number one. It's like I've been betrayed, years have been shaved off of my career, and now I need my get back. So now I'm doing this to feel a sense of affirmation. From Dom's perspective, if it was a matter of even tying it back into Ray being a deadbeat father, right? This idea that I didn't grow up with a figure who would affirm me and who would, reinforce my identity as a man. And what happens as a result of that? I now have to jump around from this person to this person to this person to this person so that I can get my affirmation fix that I never got from my actual dad, right?
mm.
So you can attack it from that angle. Like I'm not
Putting
loyal
Ray in
to
that is perfect.
I'm not loyal to a faction. I'm not loyal to a person. I'm loyal to the affirmation or the brand of affirmation that I didn't get as a kid. So wherever I can find that, I'm going to get it from there.
That
Not
nigga was
only
built on
does that tie back
survival. Oh,
exactly.
I love this.
Not only
I'm
does it
sorry.
tie back into his first storyline with his dad, really, but it also sets him up to be a substantial heel for life because you could jump
Yes.
from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, and the why is just simply I need to be affirmed. And by the time he establishes a connection with somebody, that person can feel bonded to him. And then because they feel bonded, you start to sympathize for both of them, and
Mm,
right when you feel a sense of sympathy for the both of them, one breaks off, and Dominic could be the person that breaks off. And it's like now Dom is a coward. He's a you know what, because he took advantage of whatever he was attached to and exploited it for his own selfish being.
Mm.
So you can do that. Now, I do think this is going to build towards next Mania. Um, and I do think that it's perfect for Dominic, and I think it's perfect for the women, because in previous cheating storylines, the women were always seen as an accessory towards the men, but the men were never seen as an accessory towards the women. The men were never seen as the thing that can be taken from the women. The women were always seen as something that could be taken from the men. And I think that puts the power back in the woman's hand, because now instead of the women being objectified, it's the men being objectified. The men are the pawns now. You right? And the women are the chess players that are kind of navigating that pawn to see where they land on the board. So I think that that's another factor that you can consider. I love also, I feel like this is another reason why we have to give our credit to Roman Reigns and the Bloodline storyline, because years ago when he started this Bloodline storyline, he introduced this form of storytelling where you had to pay attention to the details. Before 2020, we weren't paying attention to camera shots like that. You know what I'm saying? Where we saw, where this person may be having an interview with Jey Uso, but in the background we see Liv coming out of a locker room and then Dominic Mysterio following. But that's all rooted in what Roman started as far as storytelling, a brand of storytelling where wrestling fans had to pay attention in order to be rewarded in the end, right? And I feel like because of that move by Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, we're seeing it all across WWE, and more specifically in this storyline. So I think that that's just like another big thing that makes this whole thing interesting. But I do feel like this is something that can wrap up at WrestleMania, because even though the draft wasn't necessarily the best this year, what I will say is that the draft this year felt like a season premiere. It felt like a new season to a show. And I feel like if you're starting a new season to the show, you need to start a new storyline. And if the season premiere is the night after Mania and the season finale is WrestleMania, you wrap everything up at Mania. You start at the night after Mania. And I feel like that attack is a perfect setup. And you can just kind of gradually build. And if Rhea is this babyface that is set to be a babyface, or if Rhea is this heel that is set to be a babyface, near return, I feel like this is a perfect way to just slowly build her up. Even if she were to come back, you can still have her lose certain matches. You can have her be this close to getting the World Women's title and then it slip away. And mind you, she doesn't look weak because she never lost the title to begin with. So I feel
I
like,
feel like it stomps out all of the critics that were saying that, oh, why is she at the top of the food chain? Why is she so important? Because she's just a sex symbol. Like now, like because of this accident happening, it's giving her layers, and it's
yeah,
stemming from the fact that it started that because she was a sex symbol, but
but
now
yeah,
we're seeing vulnerability happen.
exactly. We see something that can connect the audience to her. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this kind of wraps up. We want to know how y'all feel about, I feel like I'm about to sneeze, but that's the reason why my eyes are closed. But we want to see how y'all feel about this whole Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Dom Mysterio storyline. Let us know in the comments below. But we're moving on. So, in other news, I don't know an eloquent way to put this. AEW superstar Darby Allin, it was reported that he was struck by a bus in New York City. He is safe. He was injured, obviously, but he is safe. I don't, Mo, I'll let you talk about it because
That's just so fucking funny, bro. It's just it's just comedic timing because for all we've seen, and no, this man has been suicidal. Like he don't care. He has said in interviews he don't care if he dies. He doesn't fear death. We just watch him do the most out of pocket things on TV. Like he really don't be fearing death. And gosh, is like, all right, we'll test that theory. And I just have so many questions because, like, all right, not everyone has walked the streets of New York. I'm gonna tell you right now, those cars don't care for you, and the people also don't care to get hit by cars. New Yorkers be walking with tunnel vision.
that's a fact.
they be walking with tunnel vision, but a bus, A bus is crazy to me because buses normally do stop ish.
Exactly.
So it's just
Exactly.
so did he just think he just had like the right of way? 'Cause he's a pedestrian. He's used to being in other towns. Like maybe all right, I gotta cross now. Maybe he didn't look both ways. Maybe he just assumed that the bus was just going to stop for him. But it's just he's so little. I weigh more than Darby Allen. I know that for a fact. And I'm just imagining this little tiny individual come into collision with the bus and just flinging over at least 50 meters across the road. Like, can you imagine like being a bystander when that happens? Like, I would assume he
I'd be
died.
shook. I would be shook.
But the thing is that the worst that happened was just his face. Like, he's so little and bony. You can see his entire spinal column when he does his
Literally.
cough. Like, you can see everything. The worst that happened is his face. I need to know, what is he made of? Like, this little tiny titanium body survives everything. Has Darby Allin even got injured his entire AEW career?
To be honest, I really don't know. Like
Like,
I
Rhea Ripley, as muscular as she is out because she got bumped into a wall. This man got hit by a bus and he's just fine. Like, can we put this into perspective?
he got up and he was like, "All right, y'all, don't worry about it. I'm
Right.
good. All right."
But I want to feel bad, but like I said on my Instagram, there was no other candidate on that roster that you could have hand select if you asked this question just generally. Hey, like if someone should have got hit by a bus that's not Chris Jericho, um, who else would you choose? Are you good?
I'm good. Jesus.
I was like, if you could choose anyone that I'm not saying deserves to get hit by a bus, but if they got hit by a bus, it'd be like, eh, that'd be Darby. That'd be Darby because you know what? Darby was probably okay when it happened.
That.
He
That's
accepted
true.
it while it happened.
He was just like, boom. All right, cool. All right, I'm good, y'all.
That's the funniest thing to me. I
So
hope he does heal though, 'cause I do like the little nigga. But that's jokes. God is funny. Go ahead.
she said, "I hope he gets better because I like the little yo." But here's what I'll say. Number one, I'm glad that he's safe and that he's in good condition. I'm glad that his family is safe. Hopefully, they're in good condition. Hopefully, they are in a better emotional state than where they were when they found out that he was struck. All that I have to say is that I have never non-physically encountered a more portable person that puts himself in more danger than this man. There's no reason why you out here built like an iPhone 4S and just putting yourself in the harm's way of in any and everything. Going through glass from the top of a ladder. Apparently, he still plans on climbing Mount Everest, getting hit by a. I don't think people understand how big MTA buses are.
Right.
Every time I've seen an MTA bus, regardless of where I am, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, I see it from blocks, plural, away.
It's like the size of a trailer.
It's literally a MTA bus is anywhere. They're so large that you can't just casually avoid that bus. So I don't know what type of timing he's on. I don't know like what's going on up here, or if this is just kind of a reinforcement of who he like his mission of just putting himself in harm's way. I'm just glad that the man is all right. I just need this iPhone 3GS man to just sit down somewhere for the sake of my heart and mental well-being. I don't know him, but I love him and I just want to see him live. And he just continues to put himself in harm's way. I just feel like, you know what? I'm not even gonna say that. But Darby, if you're watching this, please, bro. I like you. I love you a lot. I don't need any more anguish in my life than where I am right now. Please, for the sake of me, just hold it down for a little bit. All right. But I want to know how everybody else feels about Darby. Let us know in the comments below. But we're moving on. So this is actually great. Obviously, Nyla Rose was a topic a couple of shows ago because the Oklahoma Commission had a problem with a transgender wrestler wrestling in an intergender match. Um, and they issued them a warning, or AEW a warning. And now it seems like they're selling an antidote. They have an antidote because it seems like pro wrestler Nyla Rose is selling t-shirts to benefit an organization that identifies with the LGBTQ plus community. The profits or the proceeds from that shirt are going to that organization, which is super duper heartwarming. And I just kind of wanted to know your take on this, as far as AEW and Nyla Rose kind of coming together to put together a product that is going to benefit the LGBTQ plus community.
Okay, I'm getting a good look at the shirt at the moment. If anyone didn't see the shirt, it says the man. And of course, it's in the colors regarding the LGBT or the trans community colors, and then it says her. I think it's on the back, or it's a variation of the shirt that says her. But I actually love it. I I love it. I love that, and I love Nyla. As far as I known her, she's been extremely outspoken about who she is. And it doesn't surprise me that she took the situation and she's taking it upon her own hands to change, like, I wouldn't even say like change the narrative in wrestling. 'Cause I feel like we are getting progressive. We aren't completely progressive, but we're getting towards being more progressive. Um, it's one of those things where I feel like it's a beautiful accident. Because, like, I haven't seen a trans wrestler on TV until I saw Nyla Rose. And I feel like most people just naturally took to her. I took to her. I loved her immediately. Um, she was already like a champion. She's already well known. And I feel like with this kind of happening, I feel like that's something that's really good for not only her in her individual career, but and we were just having a whole conversation in the chat regarding Angie, and we're not going to mention that here, but I like the idea that it could help out other wrestlers
Yeah.
that are smaller, trying to get their foot in, that keep getting the doors shut in their faces because of who they are, what they identify as, how they carry about themselves in their lives, even though they're not bothering anyone. I think it's such a beautiful thing. Like, it's unfortunate that it happened to her, but the fact that she is on the second biggest promotion of the world and we know who she is. A lot of people know who she is by now, and
Mhm.
that they're taking this stance. I feel like it's going to force other promotions to get with the program
Mm.
because now you're going to definitely be called out. So I I love this, and I do want to go get a shirt of it. Um, I want to say congratulations to Nyla Rose for even like doing this, because I mean it's easy to just kind of just accept it and just take it and move on, accept that like some things will never change. But one thing that I will always give AEW credit for is that they definitely stand on business when it comes to supporting the LGBT, and being that one promotion where like they actually try to some degree, like they have like their wrongs, but one thing I know is that is consistent is that they definitely give them a safe space to just feel equal, feel proud, and to proudly promote something that is otherwise frowned upon in wrestling, because yeah, it's a white dominated male sport, unfortunately, with a lot of conservative views. But what do you think about it?
White, male dominated, also hetero dominated as well.
Yeah.
Can't forget that. Also,
Yes.
to confirm, it says that all of the royalties of her shirt will go to Freedom Oklahoma's 501c3. So if you're interested in knowing the organization that they will be directly benefiting, that is the organization that they will be directing benefiting. I said words too fast. I think it's great. Obviously, we know that when it comes to representation of the LGBTQ plus community, it is scarce in wrestling. It is very much a marginalized and underrepresented group in professional wrestling. And so one of All Elite Wrestling strengths is the fact that they stand on business when it comes to the morals and ethics that are in alignment with culture. And so I think this is just a great thing that they're doing and a great effort. And shout outs to Nyla and shout outs to Tony Khan for making the conscious decision to be on the right side of history and the right side of humanity by creating a product that is going to directly benefit um, this non-for-profit. And to be honest, he didn't really have to, which speaks volumes about him as a human being. So shout outs to them for that. But my bad. That call was actually from my good sis Sarah. I told her I was going to call her back. But let us know how y'all feel about that. Let us know how you feel about Nyla Rose and her efforts in donating to Freedom Oklahoma's 501c3. Let us know in the comments below. But we are gonna move on. Hallelujah. So, speaking of non WWE related promotions, it was announced earlier this week that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is set to, or is executive producing a 4-part docu-series that is set to debut on June 4th, entitled Who Killed WCW. Even Kevin Nash was able to get on board and say that this is the version of the death of WCW that was not aired or will not be aired by WWE. So, with that being said, I wanted to know, how do you feel about this particular piece? Are you excited for it? It's going to be, I think it's going to be on Vice, um, who is also responsible for Dark Side of the Ring. So I wanted to know your impressions on this. And are you excited? Is this something that you're going to be watching? Let me know.
Well, I'm down for anything that Dark Side of the Ring does. It's my crack. Watching wrestling documentaries is my crack. Anytime I feel like, no, seriously, if like I'm not in the mood to like watch wrestling, I still love acquiring like information about wrestling. I don't know why, but behind the scenes, it's like just as fascinating to me as what goes on in the screen in real time. Hell, I was just binge watching the Kurt Angle documentary for the third time. Um, That being said, I was a little bit confused for a second because I could have swore that we had a WCW documentary air somewhere. Was that A&E or something?
I'm not completely sure. There's so much. There were so many WCW pieces that were produced by WWE
There was
that
like
I
a
have lost
two-parter
track.
that I remember seeing, and I just can't remember who's the one that had it. Either way, I love acquiring as much information as possible. Um, I wasn't around watching during the WCW era, so I mean, I kind of like this stuff because I wasn't there, and I want to know as much information as possible. Um, very it's interesting. It's
Mhm.
interesting. It's intriguing. Them choosing The Rock is a choice. Not that it's a
Mhm.
bad choice, obviously, to produce it. I expect him to have his hands in things, considering this man has been involved in movies and he's playing a major role in WWE at the moment. I think it's cool. It's great to honestly grow up and watch all my faves and the biggest stars like be directing and producing WWE content. Like I like the fact that it's kind of like they're getting like a pension forever with this company, that they're not completely departing from us. But I'm totally down to watch it and hear everyone's opinion here and everyone's experience here. And I want them to be as blunt and crude as possible. 'Cause that's my favorite thing about Dark Side of the Ring. Like when they do a good job and their best pieces come out in the at least 2 to 3 part series.
Yeah.
Like that's when they actually like unload with a lot of information. I don't really prefer when they do like the singular 45-minute specials because there's times I'd be sitting there like swinging at the air saying, "You missed this information, you missed this part." But the fact that it's 4 parts is like, okay, now we're gonna get like deep and dirty, and they're probably gonna tell us something new that I haven't heard.
Yeah.
So I will be watching. What do you think?
I think it's great. Number one, I'm not surprised that The Rock is an executive producer, considering that he is on the board of TKO, who is the parent company of WWE, whom owns all of the intellectual property of WCW. So I'm not surprised that The Rock is heading up this project or executive producing this project. I feel like WWE has a lot more flexibility in what they go into now that we're kind of entering into a new era. Um, I'm not surprised that The Rock is involved. But I think this is going to be great. I'm very, very interested to see who else is going to be a part of it. I'm curious to know if any external WWE figures are going to be a part of it outside of like the legends who have previously retired. The first thing that came to mind that it just like, was I just realized this is probably going to be one of the first WCW related things that Scott Hall isn't going to be a part of, unfortunately, because he passed. And but other than that, though, I'm very much looking forward to it. WCW it's interesting because like WCW is one of those entities similar to ECW where even though they may not be present, the aura of WCW and the influence of WCW is very prominent in professional wrestling. And I think that it's something that needs to be studied as, and its downfall needs to be studied as well because of who was involved. It's one of those like, it's like WCW feels like the, I don't know, like it feels like a super team in the NBA that didn't win an NBA championship, right? It's like, how can something with all of this star power fall and like fail in a way? And so I think that because of that, it does need a little bit more of an in-depth look. And I'm very, very excited to see that they are doing this and taking this on. But we want to know how you guys feel about this, about how you feel about the Who Killed WCW franchise set to debut on June 4th. Let us know in the comments, but we are moving on. So, speaking of non WWE related things, once again, it looks like AEW is looking to add to their roster. Not too long ago, they added the grizzled young veterans to help improve the depth of the tag team division. It seems like they are looking to strengthen their women's division even more. And there has been rumors and reports that former NWA World Women's Champion Camille is signed to All Elite Wrestling. She was one of the longest reigning women's champions, very, very prominent in this kind of resurgence of NWA, and it looks like she's heading to All Elite Wrestling. I just wanted to know how you felt about this acquisition on AEW's part.
Um, well, they are missing a bad bitch muscle mommy since Jay Cardell left. And I love her look. Like I'm looking at her now. I love her look. Like she like just like looks like an epitome of what a world champion should look like. Um, so I think she does offer variation. She is well known in the NWA. I personally didn't get to watch her matches, but I definitely seen her. I've seen her around since like 2021,
Yeah.
just like spotted here and there, and like she just had like this look that you just have to stop and just like stare at her for a bit. Um, but I like her. I like her presentation. Um, I feel like she'll add some more interest to the women's roster. They'll have a lot more top girls to play with. I feel like considering that she is she was a top champion over there, I feel like she's someone who I would just immediately just throw into a world title picture.
Mm.
But actually, I don't know. 'Cause I kind of want to see her mix it up with like people like Mercedes and Willow and them. But I think it was a good choice.
Yeah.
Um, I think she has like the looks, the TV presence, and the personality from what I've seen with her promos to where you really could have signed her over at WWE or signed her in AEW and it
Mm.
would work. Either way, it's good for AEW, and I think that it's also good for her and her career that she's moving up because I feel like you can't miss out with a person like this. Like
Yeah.
she has that it factor. What do you think?
I agree. I think Camille, based on what I've seen, she's a powerhouse. Um, she's consistent. She was great in the NWA. And I think she's going to do some really, really good work. I think this adds a lot of variety and diversity to AEW's women's division. Obviously, like we know that Mercedes is a wrestler's wrestler. We see that Willow, who is the current TBS champion, is this bubbly personality. Um, and then we have Thunder Rosa and we have Tony Storm and we have those. So we have a lot of different personalities in the AEW women's division, and I think that that only helps the AEW's women's division. And adding someone like Camille who has a certain sense of legitimacy to her and kind of like a feel to her that is very distinct from the rest of the roster, I think it's going to help the rest of the roster. I think actually that she should be in the main event picture right away because this is someone who has the main event look, someone who has a
Yeah.
main event feel to her. And I feel like, you know, when you have somebody like Camille, I felt the same way about Mercedes. But I feel like when you have someone who has this look and feel to them, you don't. There's no reason of going through the motions of like, you know,
Would you give her
TBS.
the Jade Cargill treatment?
Would I give her the Jade Cargill treatment? Honestly, I don't. I don't know. I don't know if I would give her the Jade treatment as far as like her undefeated streak. Um, I feel like with Jade, they understood that there wasn't a lot of time with Jade. that Jade wasn't here to play, and so you had to make the most of that time. I feel like with Camille, you can be a little bit more flexible. And I feel like you can build her up a little bit more and be a little bit more experimental in her booking and her presentation. So, I feel like she should be presented as dominant and strong, but I don't think that the undefeated streak is necessary. That's how I feel about Camille and her booking and presentation. But yeah, that's Camille. She's headed to All Elite Wrestling apparently, but let us know how you feel about that in the comments below. But we are moving on. Yeah. So this Saturday, WWE Backlash coming live from France. We have a pretty stacked card. Not a lot of people, but I expect a couple of shakeups to happen. So let's start with our WWE Backlash 2024 predictions. We have Randy Orton and Kevin Owens versus the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, and Tama Tonga. Who do we have in this match? Your mic is muted.
I be doing that. Um, I mean Tama Tonga. Did I say his name right?
Yeah,
Tama.
Tama Tonga, yeah.
Tama. I said Tama. I made his name sound ghetto. Tama. Tama Tonga. um, he just got here and he came in swinging. So I feel like they're probably gonna book them. When I say them, Solo Sokoa and himself to probably run through the bloodline because Solo Sokoa don't got the patience anymore. Um, but it could work. It'd be cool if down the line they do have them verse each other. But Solo
Yeah.
Sikoa is like fed up with whoever is not getting with the program and doing what they got to do to keep what's left of the bloodline strong. So if they were smart, they would have them win their
Yeah.
first match, their first pay per view match. Probably not in an embarrassing way, but I do see that Kevin Owens is probably going to take the pin.
I actually agree with you. I actually think that a Kevin Owens heel turn is coming. I feel like based on the fact that Sammy won the Intercontinental title, he didn't win the US title, and maybe this loss as well can set up a potential Kevin Owens feud with somebody else because KO has been, as a character, has been losing a lot. I also feel like in order for us to establish Solo and Tama as the new bloodline representatives, they need a win. And what better way to get a win than over two former world champions? So I definitely see Solo and Tama taking it. Next, we have the Kabuki Warriors versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Who do we have?
If they was smart, they would give it to the as I think you call it the shea butter or the cocoa butter combat club.
Yep.
I like that name a lot. If they were smart, they would book them to win. Yeah.
I agree. The Cocoa Butter Combat Club, I feel like, should take this, Bianca and Jade, because it has been, established via the draft that the women's tag team champions can appear on both shows. And while they are drafted exclusively to SmackDown, those two women are stars, and wherever they show up, eyes are going to follow. And so having them as a tag team means that having them as a tag team and as tag team champions positions them to be on both shows. And I feel like Raw and SmackDown can greatly benefit from the presence of Jade and Bianca as a tag team.
Oh, period.
Not to mention that they had a couple of fire tag team maneuvers on their European tour, and I hope that they do it in France.
Yeah.
But then now we're moving on to the WWE Women's Championship, which I'm actually really excited about. We have a triple threat match: Bayley versus Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton. Who do we have?
I want to say Bailey retains
Mm.
because I feel like it's mad soon. For her with her like feeling like a baby face still. Um, but I feel like over time Tiffany will get it because like you could tell this company loves Tiffany. I like her too. I like her a lot. Um, I have a feeling that Bailey's going to win, and possibly Naomi might take the pin,
Mm.
and they're going to try to keep Tiffany stronger.
I actually think that Tiffany's going to win.
Soon? Really?
I think Tiffany's going to win this match. I think Tiffany's going to win this match and Naomi's going to take the pin.
Hmm.
I feel
Why so
like they're
soon?
so here's the reason why I think so. Number one, the fact that Tiffany's presentation coupled with her skill just makes her perfect to be a women's champion. I also think that she has a ton of momentum behind her, and because it's a triple threat match, it gives a lot of leeway for the heel or the heels to win in a sneaky way that doesn't make the faces look weak.
Mm,
Bailey could hit a finishing move on Naomi. Tiffany moves her out the way, hits the prettiest moonsault ever, pins Naomi, wins. Bailey doesn't look weak. Naomi gets hit. Bailey doesn't look weak because she got pulled out of the ring before she can make the pinfall. Naomi doesn't look weak because she just took two finishers. And then on top of that, a new star is born because you have Tiffany Stratton beating two former women's champions. I feel like
mm,
there's a pathway for the heel to win, the heel being Tiffany Stratton, and for her momentum to be rewarded. Also, I feel like it would still set up a potential Bailey and Tiffany Stratton match at a SummerSlam or a Money in the Bank where Bailey could get her lick back when it's just one on one.
mm.
So I feel like Tiffany Stratton is going to win that. Now, for the World Heavyweight Championship, we have Damian Priest versus Jay Uso. Who do you have?
I'm gonna go with Damian Priest. Not that it'd be wrong if Jey Uso got the belt, but I mean, one day he do got to get the belt, but I just don't see him getting it anytime soon. I'm not sure if it's because when he has his biggest matches, the biggest matches don't be delivering the way I need them to deliver or
Mm,
something, but I just feel like they just wouldn't give that to him just yet. And Damien still just freshly caught the belt. What
mm,
like the begin? I was going to say the beginning of this month. We in May, but he just caught this belt like 3-4 weeks ago.
very true.
I still feel like Judgment Day is going to be the centerfold faction, and I feel
Mm,
like they're gonna want Damien to lead as champion a
yeah.
bit longer. So I'm gonna go with Damien, and Jay's taking that pin, obviously, with help.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Damien's going to win as well. I think Jimmy's going to interfere, and we're going to get another Jay versus Jimmy match.
Hmm.
Jay already expressed that he felt like he let the crowd down at WrestleMania with their match, and they cited that a big factor was time, which is reasonable.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're definitely going to get a Jay Jimmy match that's going to have the time that it deserves. But I feel like because Jimmy is essentially kicked out of the bloodline, I feel like there's reason for that feud to be ignited because Jimmy could either go in delusional and just be like, you were the one that messed this up for me, right? Like you left, you had to be the main event, you had to be this, that, and the third. And because you started to shine on your own, it positioned me to be disposable in the bloodline because they saw they saw what you were doing and they figured that if I wasn't able to do the same, then I shouldn't be there. So I feel like there's reason for Jay and Jimmy to have a reignited feud. There's reason for Jay and Jimmy to have another match. This puts Damian Priest in the position to keep holding on to that world title and him being the leader of Judgment Day, even though I feel like Judgment Day is going to break up soon. Going from that, we have Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles for the undisputed WWE Championship. Now, fun fact, this is not the first time AJ Styles is facing a Rhodes for a world title as he competed against Dusty Rhodes for the NWA world title in TNA. So we have a little bit of a story already there. But I want to know who you have in this, whether it's Cody Rhodes or AJ Styles.
Cody is definitely holding on to his belt for no longer than a year.
Mm.
So by that alone, I'm gonna say Cody. But I love the fact that you just put me onto that because Cody is such a damn good storyteller, and
He is.
AJ Styles is good at everything. So this is gonna be a great match. Yeah.
I agree. I'm gonna. I agree, and I also think that Cody's gonna win. But I feel like this is gonna be a banger. a banger of a match, and I'm super, super excited for it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Cody Luther King as the winner of this match. But that's our Backlash predictions. If you agree or disagree, let us know in the comments below. But that wraps up our show for today. Hopefully, you guys can catch us on Discord or X for Backlash. Once again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see y'all next week.